Right then, this is a quick walk around video for an absolutely stunning looking car. This is a Honda Accord. It's a 2-litre ESGT, so very rare indeed. It's covered just 69,000 miles, just 2 owners from new, and has been serviced 13 times, 12 of which by Honda, and the same Honda dealer. It is an astonishing car, it really is. For a 13-year-old car, it is in absolutely beautiful condition. Not to say it's new, it's not, but it is lovely. Front of the car, really handsome looking cars, have aged brilliantly. Lights and lenses are completely clear and intact, no cracks or condensation. Bonnet, can't see a stone chip of any note on there at all. Near side of the car, really smooth in the panel work. Near side front alloy, good, with a bit of curbing, as you're naturally going to expect on the near side car, or near side alloy, because that's the one that's closest to the curb, obviously. Panel work, I mean, it's been washed but not polished, and that's such a natural lustre about the car. Rear alloy, again, very good, with a little bit of pickling, which you're again naturally going to expect, but they are so much better than most of its vintage. Then come around the back of the car, again, it's just such a lovely looking vehicle. Those sort of bumper extensions on the GT models look really good. Offside, again, I mean, it's almost mirror smooth, and this the paintwork looks glorious on it. Offside rear alloy, really good, just a tiny bit around the valve stem there. The panels, as I said, astonishingly clean. And final alloy, again, like the others, very good, with just the odd minor bit of pickling, but it is in glorious condition. Coming to the boot area, massive boots, beautifully finished by Honda, and in very good condition as well. It's coming to the back of the car now, half leather interior, and again the interior is in simply amazing condition. Coming to the front on the passenger side, again really clean and tidy. Passenger seat there, again, it's been kept beautifully. It's coming in on the front, driver's door card again, really clean. So I just got my elbow on there, stop getting dirty. There is a floor mat which I forgot to put in, so I will put that in, but it's as new. Driver's seat again, lovely condition. Inside the car now, engine's running as is always the case, so the dash can be seen illuminated. Dashboard looks pretty much as new, incredibly clean, and such a lovely interior. And coming across to the main dash binnacle, classic Honda dashboard design, 69,552 miles, no warning lights on the dashboard at all, but it is in wonderful condition in here as well. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key, both here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Accord ESGT. This car is registered, I should have turned this around to begin with, NJ59KEU, and with a mileage of just 69,474 recorded. The reason for all of our videos, and essentially especially this road test section, is to ensure that if anyone's online looking at any of our cars, they get to see them in operation. The reason we feel it's important is simple. It's because, like so many people, we've been to see cars which have looked perfectly good in photographs and descriptions, only to get there, drive it, find out it's got a fundamental issue you'd much rather known about before setting off. So that's why we do it. Also done on these very quiet country roads in this beautiful part of Gloucestershire. Even on a horrible, stinky day like today, it's still quite beautiful, so we're lucky indeed. This section of road, by the way, is also where we do our road tests, so hopefully then it'll be representative of what you'd feel yourself should be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, as you'll hopefully already know, this has been exceptionally well looked after. It's had just 2 owners from new, all of the servicing done at the same Honda dealer 12 times. That's incredible, every year basically, from what I can make out. We've obviously just done another service just to maintain the kind of the sequence of servicing. It didn't really need it, quite obviously, but there we go. So coming to the car, engine starts absolutely instantly, of course, and settles to a smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car, and the temperature gauge running into third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on a Honda vehicle. The engine is an absolute peach. I say it regularly, and I mean it, that Honda build the best four-cylinder engines in the world. And it's not only because of the obvious stuff, they are the most reliable engines. They're probably the longest lasting engines. They're incredibly tough and durable, but they're also lovely to use day in, day out. They're smooth, they're civilized. The vibration or lack of it comes from the engine is more akin to a six-cylinder engine in the way it just doesn't you don't feel any tingling when you're revving it. It's astonishing, really. It's placid at low speed. It pulls through the entirety of the rev range and uses all the revs very cleverly. Tootling along, it's smooth, civilized. Put your foot down, go into the VTEC zone, and it gets a sort of second wind. It is just brilliant. It really, really is. Engine then feeds through into the clutch and gearbox of the car. So I'm just holding here because there's someone dropping off some rubbish or something. Clutch on the car, absolutely fine. Bike points, exactly where it's meant to be for this age of mileage. It's nice and smooth in operation. The gearbox, 6-speed manual gearbox. You get this kind of aluminium with leather gear knob, which you get on the more sporty Hondas. It feels absolutely fantastic in hand. Obviously, just a bit of wear on top over the years with rings and fingers, which you'd naturally expect. But the gear change is absolutely brilliant. Because basically, that's not always the case with cars, especially more modern cars like. This was slightly ahead of its time. Most cars now have cables operating the gear lever to the gearbox underneath. Unfortunately, that also means that you can have some really horrible, vague, lifeless gear changes. So I'm just going to zip by. And this is the opposite of all of those. It is beautiful. It feels so mechanical. It's got a lovely actuation as it engages the gear. You know you're driving something premium. It's just got that wonderful engagement to it. It feels almost hefty in a really good way. Beautifully done, and that feels absolutely as new. It's still as tight as it would have been when it was new. It's incredible. Steering of the car tracks absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit, actually. And this is where the fun part starts for me, because everyone knows about Honda's engines and gearboxes. They are brilliant and they deserve praise. What didn't get the praise it deserved, I don't think, when it was new, was the chassis and the steering. It is a brilliant car to drive. The steering, one of the first of the electric power steering systems, but still, by modern standards, one of the very best out there. It feels beautifully weighted on the road. It feels natural, incredibly precise and accurate when you're driving the car, but it is so confidence-inspiring at higher speeds or if you're pushing on. I had to do I remember years and years and years ago now, a long time ago, I had to do a really emergency trip actually across some very fast roads in Wiltshire, and I was amazed just how accomplished this chassis is, and the steering was part of it because it gave you so much faith that where you turned it, the feedback it gave you, the weighting, it never felt nervous even at the higher speeds. And it works beautifully with the chassis, because the chassis, this road here is awful. It's like the surface of the moon, as I often say. And it's also why I go along this section listening out for any kind of clonks or rattles in the suspension, of which there's nothing. But it rides brilliantly well. And by modern standards, it's running on kind of unfashionably high profile tyres, which are actually brilliant for ride comfort. And those skinny things look pretty, but they are horrible for ride. And yet this rides so well. The damping is very sophisticated, light years ahead of its time. And then when you start going through the corners, as I mentioned earlier, the car kind of comes alive. It's absolutely brilliant. A lot of people, when they come see them or drive them, sort of kind of wonder a little bit what I'm on about, because it just drives like a normal car. There's nothing special. Well, there isn't. That's literally it. It's only when you push on, you get kind of this alter ego. It's capable of driving smoothly and quietly as I am now, as it is pitching into corners, fast ones, slow ones, off camber, long constant radius ones. It's got such poise. It's a brilliant chassis, absolutely brilliant. Brakes in the car, I'm just going to give them a good old shove, make sure no one's directly behind me. But really good brake pedal on the car. Just listening out for any kind of rumblings, any kind of vibrations coming back through the brake pedal, and there's absolutely nothing at all. Sort of all in fine order, as you'd expect, given the history of the vehicle, quite clearly. It's finally to come inside the car. And again, it's, you're still looking at a car that's now nearly 13 years old. And when you sit in it, we haven't cleaned it yet. It's clean, but it's going to be cleaned. And it's in lovely condition. But no squeaks, no rattles, nothing at all. It feels absolutely solid in here. Nicely textured interior. By modern standards, very simple. And all the better for it. You've got this big screen up there with your temperatures and your radio control displays. Nice, simple, easy to use radio. Dual zone climate control system, which gives you different temperatures side to side. That pumps out absolutely ice cold air, by the way. Your classic Honda instrument gauge, and I wish they'd go back to this, I really do, because I just think you just got two big centre dials, rev counter, speedo, flanked by temperature and fuel gauges, and with a little kind of bit of information in there as well. Basically, it means you just concentrate on your driving, enjoy your driving, and when you need the information, it's there, clearly displayed, and just get back onto it as well. Steering wheel feels absolutely fantastic in hand. Nice leather bound, not too thick, where you don't really feel in control of the car. And again, it's just a lovely natural driving position, giving you brilliant visibility. These were, as I said, they weren't really appreciated properly by the motoring press, but they never are. They always go for the usual candidates, BMW 3 Series, Mondeos, Passats, all that kind of stuff. They're the darlings of the press at the time. Yet you drive most of those, not all of them, but most of them, by comparison with this now, 13 years down the line, they can feel clumsy, worn, clunky, unsophisticated. This is where Honda are genius. They make cars which will feel incredibly fresh to drive 10, 20 years down the line. This drives miles better than most modern cars. It really does, which is why they've got such good value still. And this one isn't cheap. It's not, we make no apologies for it. We didn't buy it cheaply, obviously. We put the same margin across everything. But when you take into account the condition, the spec, but more importantly, the ownership and the amazing service history, there's not going to be many to shop or cross-shop against with this one, I'm afraid. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to call us, but I can find no issues. It drives sensationally.